Good morning, dance friends. Welcome to Coffee Talk. Today we are going to talk about where do we go now post-COVID, hoping we're post-COVID. Where do we go with our businesses? What has changed? What's new that we can consider? And how have we changed as far as our goals for the future go? My guests today are Hedy Perna and Giacomelli Huntowski. Once again, welcome to Coffee Talk. We are for dance teachers and studio owners and all others who are passionate about dance education. We are brought to you by the International Dance Entrepreneurs Association, also known as IDEA. And you can learn more about IDEA at ideadance.org. And right now there's some free downloads on that page. Be sure to check it out. That's ideadance.org. So today, before we start our program, I want to share, if I do this right, my screen, a new concept that's happening this summer, and I would love to invite you guys to join us. Hang on one second. So this is an event called Soul. It is the first dance conference for dancers, their parents and teachers. There is no competition at this event. I like to call it a soul-centered event. There will be awesome faculty representatives who will be speaking from Oklahoma City University, Pace University, Dean College, Hope College. They'll be talking to the dancers about continuing their education and what options that they have. There are tons of classes for the dancers, special workshops for those who are assistant teachers, those who would like to pursue a career in teaching. There's movement classes for the dancers. What's so cool, though, is there's a full track for the parents with really cool options to learn about dance and learn how to be a positive parent with a dancer who's passionate about this art form. And there's an entire teacher experience as well. I'd love to see you there. It's great for the dance teacher and her daughter or a son, or his daughter or son, and it's great for parent and child teams. I hope it's something you'll consider joining us for. That is that's regal.com/soul. regal.com/soul. And I'm going to stop the share, and that worked really well. I am going to run a commercial for the Dance Life Teacher Conference and bring in our guests. Thank you for being with us, and in the comments, let us know where you're from. And hello, ladies. Are you excited for the conference?
Yes.
So
Can't wait.
every time I watch the video. Before we begin, for those who may not know, Miss Hedy, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where your school is. How long?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ree. Hi, Laura. Good morning, everyone. I don't even know how you get up this early. Okay. I'm Hedy Perna from the Perna Dance Center in Hazlet, New Jersey. My studio, I'm one of the old timers. My studio's 34 years old, and my husband and I run the business. And yay, I'd love to see. Oh, I love that you could do this. Isn't Facebook great? I got to learn how to do this. That's about it. The studio is just 34 years old, and we're just getting back to the new normal.
Very cool. Because it is a new normal, you think, yes?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I like it.
I have to agree with you. I feel like there's more opportunity now. But we'll get more into that in a second. Laura, Giacomelli, Huntowski, tell everybody about yourself, my friend.
Hi, everyone. My name's Laura. I'm the owner of Libra Dance Studio, which is located in Warminster, Pennsylvania, which is about 35, 40 minutes outside of Philadelphia. We are in our 11th season right now. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Okay, all of you, you just learned who our guests are. We'd love to know who you are. Please let us know in the comments. So, ladies, we have made it through 2 years and I'm going to say 2 months, 3 months since that March 13th date that we discovered we were dealing with a pandemic. What has changed for you since the pandemic as far as what you perceive? This is a deep question to start off with, but what you perceive as success now compared to prior, has it changed? Okay,
it changed immensely for me personally. Yeah.
Okay, you go for it first.
I found out I was pregnant in February of 2020, and then the pandemic hit the next month. So I was in like save my business, be pregnant during a world pandemic, don't get sick mode. And once I had Cole, I think my priorities really, really changed. I think it would have changed no matter what. But you add in a world pandemic, and I really pulled myself out of teaching because I said to myself, I don't, God forbid, want to bring anything home to him when he's so little. And I really took a couple steps back. I actually took 8 weeks maternity leave. I would have never have done that if COVID wasn't happening. I think I would have given myself four, maybe 6 weeks, and then I would have jumped right back in. I didn't. And I also really pulled myself out of teaching my weekly classes too. I just stuck to my babies, and that was it. I really focused on keeping my babies connected to me being the owner and keeping that relationship with the parents. My company kids were already connected with their teachers, so I let that continue to grow. But that was something that really changed for me, was finding that big boundary of, my teachers and my staff are really taking care of the business, and I'm really being a mom right now and taking care of that.
Wow, that's a dramatic change.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would have laid out differently had it not been for the pandemic?
I think it could have. I always wanted to be able to be at home with Cole. When I had my first, I waited to have my first child until I was almost 35. So I said I wanted to get those first 5 years of hard work and just diving into the business before I even thought about getting married and having children. So I think I always knew I wanted to be at home with him. But there's also like the entrepreneur in me that says, no, I have to do it. I have to do it. I have to do it. I shouldn't delegate. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. But I think when you put in a newborn baby who doesn't have an immune system and COVID, and your doctors are saying, nope, you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. Watch yourself while he doesn't have an immune system. It really just that mom mode went on, and the entrepreneur just turned down a little bit for me. And I was just like, that's number one now, and this is number two. And I think I would have been a little more even. It's probably really selfish to say out loud, but I think I would have said, no, I have to get back to teaching. That's who I am. That's what I want to do. That's my passion. I think it was just different. COVID just was like a curveball that just put a very different pair of lenses on my eyes to see very differently, for sure.
Very cool. How about you, Miss Hedy? What is your perception now of success compared to what it was prior?
I'm a little bit older, so when COVID happened, I thought of my mortality right away. Right away. Personal mortality, and not even so much of the studio, but we in New Jersey, being so close to New York, were bombarded with, we don't know what this is, we don't know what this is. And the studio closed on March 13th, sorry. And I got COVID on March 16th. And then my husband got COVID on March 19th. And this is in 2020, there's no test, there's nothing. Call the doctor, I know something's wrong. And they asked, did you go to China? I go, really? So it was scary. It was like there was nothing thinking about the studio at that point. I couldn't even put two sentences together. Everybody's saying, oh, I'm going to start, doing these Zoom things and everything. My faculty's reaching out to me, what do you want to do? And I was like, I was in bed for 13 days. So for me, I just had that physical thing with COVID. It wasn't even mental. Then finally, when I got out of the fog, everything changed. And I kept saying to myself, I always want to remember that feeling that I had, because I don't want to go back to the grind. And I have to remind myself, because it's seeping back in, that going back to like the craziness. I have to keep reminding myself of what is important. And there was a lot of soul searching between me, my husband. Do we keep this? Do you remember, Ree, I did that first talk for you. It was called Pause, Sell, wait, I don't remember what it was, or Full Steam Ahead or something like that.
Yes.
Remember that? Yeah. And that was when I really had to sit down and say, what do we want to do? So everything's changed. And
did you actually consider that the Perna Dance Center might not? You did?
Totally. I was sick. Pat was sick. Nobody knew what this was. I thought the end of the world was coming. And it's really the priority, being in a dance studio and killing myself, and I love what I do. Please don't take this. Everyone, we all do this. We love this. And it's never been about anything else but the love of it. But at that point, I was like, it was like almost like being faced with your life and saying, okay, now, if you get through this, I was like delusional one day. The strangest person called me, and I was like, first time talking on the phone, I was like, are you dead? I haven't talked to you in years. I thought I was dead. So like it was actually such a wake-up call. And everything in my life personally has changed. Inside the classroom, outside the classroom, procedures, everything, recital, everything has changed. And this is good. And as many people that, have long-term or like our people in our studio died, so many people. We're very congested here in New Jersey, and we were right near the heart of it. Oh.
So what changed for you, Hedy, in particular? Give me a couple of examples.
You got it. Okay. I could start with when I came back. I said that, my classroom was a new classroom. First of all, it forced me to be more tech savvy. Once I came out of the doldrums, I had to learn how to do Zoom. So 4 classrooms had to be set up with Zoom. And you know me, Ree, I don't even do Facebook. I'm lucky, like I have a phone. If I could have kept my flip phone, I would have, but I have one of these new phones. And so that's hard. So I kept that. I have Zoom in every classroom, and we use it almost every day. There's mics in the classroom. The teachers are all mic'd now. If I invested in this equipment, I said, I'm going to use this equipment. So my classrooms are set up We do Zoom classroom makeups are all Zoomed. Recordings whenever we need to, sharing through the rooms. The teachers are very savvy. Everybody's got their mic, they look like Britney Spears with a clip on. So that is very helpful. And the investment was there, and I'm keeping that. Because the lobby's still closed. Love that. The lobby's still closed. You'll see the 3-year-olds can come in by themselves.
Are you just curious, intending on keeping the parents away, or are you going to eventually let them back in?
The parents have been asking this year, and I said, you know what? We've seen such growth of their independence that we want to encourage that. So we have said to the parents, the lobby is still closed, and we don't have any pushback. I'm surprised, but the kids are independently coming in. What we did during COVID is put hooks under the bars at their letter house spots, and they learned to walk in, hang up their dance bag there so they didn't conjugate in the lobby. I'm still keeping that. So the kids are actually bringing in their and hooking their bags, which just teaching them things like that was a big thing. 50-minute classes have continued. My price is going up, but I'm still keeping the 50-minute classes. I just found that even though we're not physically cleaning every class now, the teachers need that little time. And as much as they complained at the beginning when we first went back in a year ago or 2 years ago, oh my God, I need every 10 minutes, everything. I need every last moment. They all managed. Everybody managed. The classes the curriculum's getting done and in 50 minutes. And during when we were like social distance, it taught all of the teachers, I can remember having meetings about this, how to be creative, going across the floor, working in the floor. And like, we didn't have spots. We just like marked off the floor in our own way. But it taught them to be so creative that now they're still doing that. Like, it's not straight across the floor. It's like, okay, you 3, you 2. So everybody had to think outside of the box. So yeah, the classroom has totally changed.
Very cool. And we might have just been in the same old mode had we not been forced to do this. Laura, tell me about some of the changes that happened for you that you're going to keep as you move into the future.
Yeah, my clientele is definitely different from Hedy's. My clientele, no one asked to Zoom. I discontinued my Zoom. So, because everyone wants to come in person for their makeup. So that's what we do. Our lobby is open. But I continued with the drop and go for 6 and up. So none of my 6 and up parents come in, but I have a very large 5 and under clientele. There's probably about 130 of kids that are 5 and under. Most of them, half of them are on Saturdays. So that's just kind of like a revolving door. So that's not too crazy. But during the week they do stay. And I just leave it up to them. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. You don't want to, you don't have to. But I kind of looked at my business and I said to myself, what am I doing that's not beneficial financially? Or what did COVID make me do that was financial beneficial? I was able last year to have an inside recital at a new facility because our facility was not renting. None of the schools by me were renting. So I went to a private school, which I would never have done. I would usually like to support the schools within our district that we pull from. And I went to a private school and she said to me, you could have it July 12th. You could have it June 24th. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, I can rent from you? And she's like, oh yeah. She's like 50%, but yeah. And I was like, I want them on a stage. I'm like, that's what I want. So even if it's 50%, as long as the profit margins are okay, let's do it. So I moved the show. The date that they had available was the last Saturday in June. And so that gave me a full extra month of tuition, and I'm keeping that for this season. When people signed up, we are a 10-month season. I got no pushback from any of my littles because most of them, I said, if I'm gonna make a change, I got to make it now because I lost 50% of my babies. So when they come back this year, I said to myself, any changes need to be done right now. This is their new normal. Their new normal is that we dance at the end of June. I've gotten a few pushbacks from parents that are from my older clientele. But to be honest, it wasn't enough to make me go, they got out of school on the 12th and our show's the 24th. It's 10 days later. I'm not stressing out about it, So this is and I made them all very well aware before they auditioned for team. We're a 10-month program. We're keeping that. I think they were shocked that I actually kept it. I think that's what it was. They're like, she's really doing this. I'm like, oh yeah. Like if I put it in paper and then I send it out to you and it's in, like, we're doing it. So that was something that I kept. That was a huge financial push for me because that's a whole full month of tuition. And then I also, there's like little things that we would do. We would do birthday parties at the studio. They made me no money. And I always thought to myself, Irene and I had this conversation previously, I'll get more students for them. I'll get, I'll have free, try a free class. It was all my current students booking birthday parties and inviting kids from my dance studio to come to their party and take a class with me. And I was just like, I'm making $100 and I'm here for 2 hours and I have to clean up and set up it. And I was just like, we're done with that. So I do one camp once a month. And it makes me what 8 birthday parties would have made me in one camp. So I really took a step back and like looked at every program and what makes me, what's financially smart for the business, and things that weren't financially smart for the business. I didn't announce that we weren't doing it. It just wasn't on the schedule anymore. That's all. And I've had a couple people ask about birthday parties. And I just said, oh no, with COVID, we haven't offered that anymore. And they're like, oh, okay. No, it's not a big deal.
No, and that's understandable too. So Laura, you've become a smarter businesswoman.
Oh yeah.
That's what COVID, yes.
Yeah. I think COVID put it's like, it goes back to what Hedy said. It put me back in that mindset of when you first opened up and you counted every single penny and you had to know where it was going and what was coming in and what was going out. I was in a comfortable spot with Libra before that I had a little cushion to do this, or I had a little cushion to do that. When COVID hit, that made you fall back to year 1, year 2, year 3, where that fire and that hustle came back, and it just, that switch in my head went back off, and I was like, oh, okay, like we're in desperate times, desperate measures, figure it out, And I think that fire came back in me as an entrepreneur to figure out what I wanted to do, because my mom actually said to me, I was dress shopping with my sister-in-law, and we were walking down the street, and I was so pregnant. And she said to me, Laura, what would you have done if Libra didn't make it? My mom works for me. My mom runs my front office. And I literally said to her, I never once thought that it would fail. That never came into my mind as an option. And she looked at me, she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. Like that failing was not on the horizon. It was just like, what we're going to get out of this is just figuring out A, B, C, D, E, whatever lane I have to get there, but we're going to figure it out. Like I put too much blood, sweat, and tears into this for it to fail.
Proud of you, my friend.
Thank you.
So Hedy, because I know you'll give a good answer to this, what do you say to the people who say, oh, I can't wait to get back to the way it was?
Be careful what you wish for. Constantly reminding myself not to get back to exactly. It's so much better here. This side, what it is now, is so much better mentally, even physically, everything. I don't sweat I think we talked about this. I didn't lower my standards. I just lowered my bar a little, because my bar was so high set. I mean, so high set for myself that, as entrepreneurs, we keep ourselves to the highest standards. So everything can work if you just don't sweat the big stuff, and maybe don't take everything so seriously. And the things that are really important are not the things that we thought were so important. I didn't lose any students. I mean, the few students that I lost because their schedule has changed, I made up tenfold with new students, and everything's going, the business is doing great. It's just, I'm different. And I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I can say I'm different too, and I do like it. I look at our time, I might have said this at the start of the show, as a time of opportunity. Like, what is it that's inside of you related to your studio, your business, maybe even not your business, that you've always wanted to do or change or whatever? Like, this is our chance. Just like Laura said, oh, we don't do birthday parties because of COVID. Nobody's going to argue with changes at this point in time. So, like, everybody who's watching, I implore you to make those changes.
Mhm.
COVID is the reason for the season.
It is.
Everything could be COVIDized. Oh, the lobby's closed because of COVID, or we're still going through it. Or Laura, oh, birthday parties, too many kids together. So, like, yeah, use anything that you thought you wanted to change. And you always said, oh, my parents aren't going to go for that because I've been doing it this way so long. And that's why I always said, if you ever moved to a new building, that's a perfect time to start different procedures, blah, blah, blah. Well, God gave us this horrible thing called COVID that turned out to be an opportunity for all of us. Everything was BC, before COVID, BC.
I agree with that, BC. I think of that often. And then even when you're thinking about things and you're going, oh yeah, that was prior to all of this happening, you know? Laura, tell me if I'm off on this, but am I right when I say you've actually grown over COVID as far as your enrollment goes?
I was very, very lucky. And I think it was a little bit of a perfect storm with my clientele. A lot of my parents, my school district didn't really know what to do. Let me start there. So we were virtual, up and running with classes every single hour, normal schedule, as if they were coming in the studio. That's how we were. My staff was in the studio or Zooming from home. And my kids were saying, I don't even see my school teacher. They didn't see their school teachers, some of them, for the rest of the year. They were just given packets. I think my districts, a lot of them really thought that this was only 2 weeks. Whereas I'm looking at New York and I'm looking at California and I'm seeing on Facebook that the studios have been closed for a month. I'm like, we're not going to be closed for 2 weeks. Like we're shut down. Like this is going to be at least a month, if not 2. So my clientele, when they were ready to get back in September of 2020, I laid out like what I was doing. I said I got in my HVAC system, I got air purification. I kept doing videos of this is our 6 feet apart, lobby shut down, everyone's in mask, hand sanitize in, temperature checks. But I laid out the plan, and my people, just a majority of them, it's so weird to say this, decided to virtually homeschool their children. And I was their activity every day. So my once a weeker started coming 3 times a week. I lost half of my babies. I had over 100 babies. In that 2020 to 2021 year, I only had 54. When I say babies, that's 5 and under. So half of my babies I lost, which I completely got back. I'm very, very thankful for that. I worked really hard to get them all back. But my baby moms were not comfortable sending their kids anywhere. And they weren't in school. They weren't in preschool. They weren't in daycare. They all stayed home. But my 6, 7, 8 through 18, they were like, this is what they're going to do. This is their social interaction for the week. So your school, your studio is safer than what the schools are doing. They're not temperature checking. They don't have air purification. Some of their classrooms don't have windows. So we're going to send them to you. So I got very lucky. Yes, I lost a lot of youngers, but those once a weekers taking on those extra classes, I actually technically number wise grew, even though I lost so many littles. So I got very lucky in that 2020, 2021 season that my numbers actually almost stayed the same. And I know that's not the norm. I know it's not. I was very, very blessed.
You were, and I just wanted to make it clear to our viewers that there were some studios that actually made it through this. Maybe not with growth, but hanging on to what it was that they went into the pandemic with. How did it work for you, Hedy?
Okay. I have to say that similar. My numbers are all back to normal now. I'm good. When we first opened up now, so I have just step back a little bit. Financially, we didn't take any money during COVID. So from March to September, my studio was closed. No, I didn't Zoom then. I just was learning about Zoom. When I started Zooming was we had a Dropbox and we put things in Dropbox, but my Zooms were like, I was reading stories and doing, scavenger hunts, my most important thing during COVID was not teaching dance. My most important thing was keeping the relationships. I personally called every student as soon as I woke up out of my little coma, like the second week we were out. Then maybe 2 months later, we called again. We called 3 times every single student during that COVID panic, that time, touching base, because I knew it was about relationships. I knew it wasn't about dance. I knew it was like, because when these kids would come on and I would do stories, like they could care less about, even your best student was like the kid that was perfect at the bar would be jumping on her bed on the Zoom. You know what I mean? Like it was so unnatural to be this, but I just wanted to see their faces and connect. So I think that's why when we did open in September and in like August of 2020, we did outdoor classes. That was the only, we were, outside in parking lots separated, but we never took any tuition. So financially, I have to say that it was a big hit. So me and Pat really had to have that come to Jesus moment. Like, is this something we want to listen? I haven't had a mortgage in forever, and now I have a mortgage again. You know what I mean? Like, we actually took personally the responsibility, and we decided to do this, that we're going to keep this thing going. Mm. And we're older than Laura. So like I could have stepped out and I would have been happy. If I would have stepped out, I would have been like very proud of everything I had done. And I don't think one person would have faulted me for saying, okay, this was the end for that studio. But the kids came back and everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. And that's what you just got to remember. It's all about relationship. It really is. You've said this 1,000 times, Ree. It's not that the teacher is the best technician or the best educator as far, it's the teacher that the kids run around and they'll stay from 3 to, they're the ones that'll stick to it. So that's, if anything COVID taught me was to make sure it's the relationship. It's always been the relationships.
I like to word it like this. It's building a community that nobody wants to leave. Okay, it's you build a community around your school, and even during times like what we've been through in the last 2 years, people want to see you survive. If they can help you to survive, they will. And I hope that everybody listening and those who will watch this in the future will think about that. Every child is important and a part of your community. Those that lost a ton of recreational kids, I'd say to you, maybe it's time to do more things with them to make them feel like they're a bigger part of the community. You may look at it as, well, they only want to take 1 class a week. I look at it and go, how do I make them, even if they only want to take that 1 class, feel like they want to take that 1 class for the next 15 years because they want this to be a part of their lives. That's what I hope we've learned from COVID. So, Laura, as you head into the next season, what are you the most excited about?
Ooh. So I got back to teaching way more. I'm now 2 days a week. I'm with my company kids again. And when I handed them all off, because right now we have about 54 company kids, and they do want to work with me. They want to work with Miss Laura. They like my choreography. I'm definitely a strong choreographer, and that's something I really have a passion about. But I think it's getting back to even more ideas. I said to Ree before, when I went to competition, I feel like the industry, we're not a huge competition studio. We just go to 3 regionals, and we have one optional extra one for solos. Everyone's choreography this year is unbelievable. It's like, I found myself standing in the back of the theater being like, wow, that was great. Wow, that was great. Wow, that was great. Like number after number after number. And even just this weekend that we went to Breakout, and it was just so inspiring. So I feel like my creative like juices going again, being at competition this week. I always get ideas. I have like a note in my phone, and it just like rattles off ideas. And we stopped doing productions before COVID, just because the interest wasn't there. And then obviously we couldn't have 50 kids in a room. Production completely stopped. I said to the dancers, I think I want to do a production number. And the girls were like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what are you thinking, Miss Laura? Like my older girls like tried to like scheme with me. I'm like, I said them my theme. They're like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So I think getting back to like doing big production numbers and opening it up to like everyone, because I want my
Always,
littles to get
always.
interaction with the big girls. Like we do buddies, but it's just different because my older girls get there at 8. The little ones leave by 5:30. You know what I mean? So it's like there's not that necessarily interaction during the week with them. So I'm excited to choreograph more, but I'm also excited to keep that boundary where I'm now so out that I can just be like, I want to work with that one and that group and that group. And that's my Monday night. And then I can go in and help the teachers and give my opinions and things like that for their classroom and observe. But I think I'm most excited to choreograph some big routines as a choreographer. I'm excited for that.
I want to go off topic, and then I'm come to you, Hedy, with the same question about what you're excited about. For those who are listening, Laura, and who would like to consider stepping back as you have, and I know I've asked you this question before, but I want you to repeat the answer. What do you say to the teachers who are afraid that their clientele may get upset if they're not teaching their children? That now Laura isn't teaching my daughter. I don't want someone else. What do you say to those teachers who have that fear?
So I think it's taking steps to start to pull yourself out. 4 or 5 years ago, I was teaching every child under the age of 5. So we had 14 baby classes that I was teaching a week. And that was just a third of my schedule. And then I taught the seniors, I taught juniors, I taught rec. And then I said to myself, I'm not going to teach age 6 to 8. Once they're 6, they go to a different teacher. So that was like the first step. So I had them all the way until they were babies, because what I would find is when they were turned 6, they would only go into my class in the fall. And if I was teaching jazz or I was teaching hip hop, and it would sell out like that. So I just took little steps on their dance journey and just kind of pulled myself out a little bit. And then they would say, oh, well, they're 6 now and they're with Miss whoever, but they want to maybe go back to you. And I said, oh, okay, well, they should maybe think about auditioning for company. I teach mini whatever. And that would be the next step on their journey. So I kind of placed myself in different places to get them excited to get back to me. But I also have great staff. I would say to them, try Miss Brittany, try Miss Regina. She's fantastic. Try Miss Allison. And then once they would try that teacher, it's not that they would forget about me, but they'd be like, oh, Miss Brittany's great too. It's like if you're only used to vanilla, you're not going to know if you like mint chocolate chip until you try it. That's how I say to them. I'm like, it's in school, they get different teachers every year. So you want to make sure that they get different styles of choreography, different styles of how people run a classroom. It's important. It's important for their growth as a dancer and as a person. I think once I got to, COVID, like I said, Hedy, COVID's the reason. Once COVID hit, they all knew it. Just the timing of me having Cole with COVID, I had Cole September 22nd. So that was like the start of the season. So there was no, with competition choreography, like I said to the girls, I can't your choreography needs to be done by December. I can't give you a dance by December. I'm not coming back till November. It's not fair to you. So my timing worked out really well that I was able to pull myself out that season. And then I just kind of had a come into Jesus moment. I said, I'm already out. If I jump full force back in, I'm not getting back out unless I have another baby, and I don't want another baby. So it's like, so this is like your moment where you have to decide if you're going back in, only go back in a night or go back in 5 nights, but know that if you go back in 5 nights, you're not going to get off the schedule after that. Like, so I just put myself on 1 night on Mondays, and I handpicked the classes that I wanted to work with. And that was it. And to be honest, I think everyone gets nervous financially. I am now able to wear my business hat. I'm now able to focus on the numbers more. I'm now able to focus on hiring great teachers and weeding out the ones that maybe aren't good for my culture at my dance studio. I'm there to help assist teachers who maybe are struggling with an issue in class. So because of that, my business has grown. I'm able to help facilitate things more. Whereas when you're in the classroom, I'm focused on those 15 kids that are in front of me. I'm not focused on the 500 that are coming in and out of my business each week. So I think I realized that once I kind of pulled myself out of making the wheel turn and being able to look at the whole machine, it did free up my time to be creative, and it honestly made my business grow. Uh-oh, I can't hear you, Ree.
Ree, you're muted.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
So I want to reiterate something that I believe you said it with your words, which is you're actually financially better off having got somebody to cover your classes because you're more aware of what's going on in the overall business. Yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's something for everybody to think about there. Miss Hedy, tell us what you're most looking forward to in the next season.
Well, because when we came back last year to have a show, we had such restrictions, the actual recital. And I'm the recital queen. I have it down to like a plan. 30 something years of doing recitals, we are very comfortable. And here I am in a school that I'm not ever been in before. They're telling me how many I can have. I got to be out by this, do this. And then anyway, so we came up with a new Recital Formula, and it worked out so well. And I never would have had that happen if it didn't happen for COVID, that we're just recreating it again this year. We have my whole recital formula, meaning down to dress rehearsal before in the studio, everything has changed as far as the recital is concerned. And I love it.
Give us a little synopsis of how you do it.
Okay. So,
you were hoping I was going to ask that question, right? You happen to have a presentation. Go ahead.
Let me share screen. Okay, so I used to have at the school that we normally had, like normal, on stage dress rehearsal. And the kids would be changing and waiting, who's going there, blah, blah, blah. No more. Our dress rehearsals are in studio several weeks before the show. So they come in costume. We will be doing the checking. They could dance in their costume. When we have the on-stage rehearsal the day before the recital or several days before, they are in their recital T-shirts, recital shorts, because they're going to practice their new finale number that I never had a big finale but with COVID, we were supposed to be outdoors in the family recital package. Since we were going to be outdoors, I had to order them the nude leotards. Then the last minute we get a school, so no nude leotards. So instead I bought them shorts. What am I going to do with those shorts? We're going to do a routine. Guess what? It turned out to be the best thing. So now we have this big finale routine with everybody. The short 1-hour shows, because we had to get them in and out. Loved it. So we are down to a 90-minute show, no intermissions. I took all the songs that were 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and every song is 2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes. That's all. 2-minute songs. As many 2-in-1 costumes as possibly known to man. What what was I afraid of or not liking 2-in-1 costumes? I only put it on the babies, but now because it's a 2-minute show, the show runs fast. The changes have to be faster. 2-in-1s are fabulous. Love, 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 love. No more hard copy book. I used to have the big journal, and I would make between $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year on that book with all the ads and and it was blah, blah, blah. QR code, sell the ads on the QR code. I was like so anti QR code. Everybody's going to have their head down. Oh my God, beautiful. Pre-show video. And then it's no more books. That's it. My stars, where I make lots of money because of COVID, we weren't allowed to touch stars and hand it to each other. So that eliminated that whole handing out the stars. So parents will buy a star, they take the star with them. They give it to their kids. I don't have to be the day of the show making sure my star committee is distributing stars, still making the same amount of money out of my hand. And the best thing I think is first time parent Zoom meeting. I don't know why I never did this before.
Oh, yeah.
First time parent Zoom meeting. Everybody came on because if you remember, by the time we had our show, it was really 2 years of no. So it's 2 groups of not having. So they didn't know what the hell a recital was. What are you talking about, recital? Like they didn't go through this process. 2 sets of parents. So I had a first time Zoom meeting. Yeah.
Did they show, was it appreciated that you did that?
Oh, yes. My God. Fathers came on, mothers came on, everybody. And the questions were, yeah, that's a good question because you don't know. You don't know that you've got to be dressed and ready to go. And this is a call time and you're not going backstage. I mean, this was really good. It avoided a lot of headaches and heartaches. So it's first time parents Zoom meeting, and that will be going forever and ever. So what I threw out, one of the things that from COVID, I threw out the traditional dress rehearsal. I threw out the 2 tickets in the recital package because of COVID. They were only allowed to have 2 seats. So now it's all open. So I took out those 2 seats and I had to take away my alumni. My alumni were always given 2 free seats. And I always had an alumni section in the big theater, but now I don't have that. So we did a discount for the alumni, but I don't even know if they'll get tickets this year because we're still like a smaller school. However, all those things are positive things except the alumni thing. So it's a whole new formula, recital formula, whole new. And
do you feel like this is the future for you?
Why not? Okay. Why not keep this? I'm repeating it because it was so successful. Parents loved no intermission. Are you friggin' kidding me?
They love the shorter shows. I was hoping that we'd come to that realization. Yep. Because COVID forced us to do it. We're always saying, we want them to see the older kids and the younger kids. And you know what? Even with shorter shows, you can make that happen if that's a desire. But I think the shorter show thing makes dads get up and go, I love that recital. And you don't hear that as often as you'd like to hear it. So yeah, I think it's now
let's not, my shows are lots of sets and scenery and things like that. And last year we were very, very limited. And I was like to myself saying, oh my God, this isn't even a show. The parents were just so happy that the kids were back on stage, that everything was great. And I realized that really I'm going back to sets and scenery, but not to the extent that I used to.
No, it's not necessary. And there's so many options now with video and different things that we can do to enhance the show, but not have to go for the scenery and sets. I grew up in recitals with scenery and sets and things hanging and being lowered and backdrops and curtains. Recital was like Christmas. Okay, as we wind this down, Hedy, give us some final words of wisdom for studio owners and teachers who are turning the corner.
Yes, I am going to continue to, like you said, think outside the box. It made us pivot, And guess what? Pivoting wasn't that bad. I learned a lot of things, and change turned out to be good for me. I'm going to continue to know my clientele and keep my finger on the pulse of my business, because in connecting with my parents, those 3 times I had to call, I learned a lot. Some calls were just like 16 seconds. Hi, how are you? Or just a message. Others were 8 minutes, and I learned a lot. I think that, and I was scared. I did not want to do that. Who wants to call that mom? I was scared. I want to continue to know my students. I want to have a financial cushion. I want to make sure that I plan to have a financial cushion just in case. You never know. I'm Zooming my faculty meetings, which is like amazing. Now everybody could be together. And if they're not there, they could watch the recording. I'm not afraid to ask for help. Like I used to want to do everything myself. Like Laura says, we're independent. We want to do everything. And I'm not Superwoman anymore. So I ask for help. And I'm really enjoying time with my friends and family. I've learned to try to, like, you can't have it all is true. You can't have it all, but you can certainly try to make a go of it. So, and I stepped away from my studio a lot for the last few years. I've been doing it, like Laura says, gradually, but I still have my hand in pulse, and everybody knows I'm still the principal, and I feel good about this role that I'm in now.
Good for you, Hedy. You've come a long way, baby.
Thank you.
Laura, some final words of wisdom, my friend.
I would say, for someone who used to push away from change, I guess now is the time for change. Anything that, any changes that you want to make to your business, don't be afraid to do it. Now's the time to do it. I've had people say to me, well, it hasn't been that way. And I say, I know. And I've literally said, this is what's best I feel for my business at this time. And I say it confidently, not in like a, just a confident way. Definitely make any changes that you want to make now, because 'tis the season to do it. Don't be scared to do it. Definitely agree, knowing your clientele, keeping those relationships, that's so important. But COVID for me has really, this whole past 2.5 years has really just made me realign my business, realign my personal life too, and figure out what my balance is. Because I feel like my balance has been off before this, and this has really made me reassess it. So I think just use this time to figure out what your happy balance is for your studio and personal life.
I agree 100% with that. I think a lot of people have come to a place where, if they're dance people, that they've come to recognize that family life and outside of dance is an important thing to maintain while you're living your dream.
Because I feel like I am living my dream. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. Even through all of this, and I'm very, very thankful that Libra survived. I say that's like a blessing when I close my eyes at night, that my son is healthy and we're all okay, and Libra survived. I count that as definitely multiple blessings.
And for our viewers, I have met Cole, who has been talked about a lot in this episode, and he is one of the handsomest kids in America.
My little character.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Miss Hedy. I appreciate you being here. Laura, I had a blast. All of you that are viewing, that are considering where you're going next, make all the changes you want and go for it with gusto and confidence, and blame it all on COVID. And when someone says that's not the way you did it before, you say, that's exactly right. We're making it better. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Ree. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Laura.